Hello guys, you often hear that the latest iPhones have even better cameras, and you hear this every year, but how good are they and how much better? We took the last 6 generations of iPhones and took them on an epic spin for a massive camera comparison. We have the iPhone 6, the 6s, the 7, the 8 Plus, the XS series, and finally the 11 Pro Max, and it's time to compare their cameras and see how they have evolved throughout the years. Let's get started. And the first thing that we'll look at is this picture here, shot during the day, and you already see some massive differences. So shot against the sun, you see a lot more shadows on the iPhone 6, the iPhone 6s, pretty similar, and on the iPhone 7 you see the image looks brighter, more cheerful. You have a lot bigger dynamic range, starting with the iPhone XS Max, which features the Smart HDR option, and the iPhone 11 Pro Max comes with an even better picture with more detail. Next up, let's jump to the second image here. Okay, here we have a picture of the road, and once again you see what a big difference. For example, here in the details you see that you cannot see anything here, and it's much blurrier. Or we get a much sharper picture on the iPhone 7, the iPhone 8 Plus, and again a much bigger dynamic range with the iPhone XS Max and the iPhone 11 Pro Max. You get a higher amount of detail and a more crisper picture. In this picture you have a high dynamic range scene, you see the sea and on the horizon, and again you can see the iPhone 6, the iPhone 6s capture very dark images, a little bit moody, not that much dynamic range, they don't look that good. With the iPhone 7 we have a brighter, more cheerful image. The iPhone 8 Plus is another improvement in terms of dynamic range, and then the iPhone XS Max and iPhone 11 Pro Max really takes things to the next level in terms of sharpness and detail. Jump into picture number 4. Again, take a closer look at the colors on the iPhone 6, the iPhone 6s, again darker pictures, very contrasted. On the iPhone 7 you have a brighter shot, the iPhone 8 Plus a little more detail, the iPhone XS Max takes a huge jump in terms of dynamic range. You can see here in the trees you have a lot more color, a much more pleasing picture, and then the iPhone 11 Pro Max takes things up to the next level. You see a lot more detail on it, so great job. Jumping to the next scene, again we have the beach here, a much darker photo on the iPhone 6, the 6s, the iPhone 7, brighter picture, but the highlights are a little bit burned out. And then the iPhone XS Max takes a leap in terms of dynamic range, the iPhone 11 Pro Max even further. You can see a lot more in the skies, not so burned the highlights, the image looks much better. Keeping up with the day shots, again you see the iPhone 6 and the 6s, you have those dark pictures that don't look quite that good on a bigger screen. The iPhone 7 is an improvement, but you see that it features a little bit of oversaturation. The iPhone 8 Plus is the first one that we really like, and then the XS Max takes a jump in terms of dynamic range. You can see a lot more in the shadowy areas, right here where the building is and the trees are. In the iPhone 11 Pro Max, very similar image to the XS Max, but if you look closer, the detail is sharper and you have a lot more information in this photo. Keeping up the pace with the next image, again you see the darker shots on the 6 and the 6s, the iPhone 7, the iPhone 8 Plus, and then a bigger jump with the XS Max and the 11 Pro Max that delivers again that higher detail. And one last picture before we jump into the night photos. Here we have a building, and the images here are not that much different, but again you see here in the darker areas you just get a lot more information with the latest 2 generations of iPhones, especially the Pro Max, where you get that added sharpness. Where is the bigger difference in terms of image quality? Of course, when the light gets lower, it gets scanned. This was the big issue back in the day with the iPhone 6, 3 or 4 years ago. We didn't have night mode, we didn't have anything. So let's take a look at how the cameras have evolved throughout the years in terms of night photography. And this picture is of glasses here on a bar stand, and you cannot see anything on the iPhone 6. The iPhone 6s, similar story. The iPhone 7 you can already see a little bit, but the image is very grainy, don't get a lot of detail, it's hard to make out what you're actually looking at. The iPhone 8 Plus has captured a little bit of a blurry shot here, maybe my hand was trembling a little bit. And then with the XS Max, where you have that added stabilization, the image is sharp, you get a lot more detail, and then boom! The iPhone 11 Pro Max has that night mode for photos, and you see a lot more. This is actually a picture from a bar that I could share on social media. one more picture that I really want you guys to see the difference. Here again in the same bar, the iPhone 6, complete darkness. You cannot see anything on this screen. The iPhone 6s, similar story. You have to use the flash with those images. And you know what happens when you turn on the flash. You have these cold colors, the image doesn't look good, so you don't really want to use the flash, but you have no other option. The iPhone 7 slightly better, but again not great. The iPhone 8 Plus, similar to the iPhone 7, and the iPhone XS Max is an improvement, but the bigger difference is the night mode on the iPhone 11 Pro Max. Wow, what a game changer. Night mode, you get to see a lot more in the picture, you don't have to use the flash, and it just looks good. Going over to the next scene, we have the road here. Very little detail on the iPhone 6 and the 6s, and the 7, similar story. The iPhone 8 Plus does some weird things with colors, it looks very yellowy and unnatural. And then the iPhone XS Max and the night mode on the iPhone 11 Pro Max, really you start to see the clouds in the skies, you start to see a lot more color in the shadows. It's just a much better photo. You can see a huge difference between the iPhone 6 back in the day and the iPhone 11 Pro Max. It really is that noticeable. One more night photo here, taken with the iPhone 6, very dark, very moody, not a picture you want to share. iPhone 6s, same story. iPhone 7, again, same story. iPhone 8 Plus, you start to see some improvements, but again, you see problems with the white balance. The image looks very yellowy, not the color that you want to see. And the iPhone XS Max finally captures a decent photo, but notice the lights here, they look a bit blurry. And then with the iPhone 11 Pro Max in night mode, you see a lot more color in the shadowy areas, you see that the lights are sharper and the image is overall much better. One photo I really want to show you is this sign of my hometown. You can see right here it's very dark on the iPhone 6 and the 6s. I want you also to pay attention to the lights here. They look blurry and not really natural. Same thing on the 7, the 8 Plus. You start to get a little bit of an improvement with the iPhone XS Max, but notice how the sign here appears extremely dark. And then boom, night mode on the iPhone 11 Pro Max fixes all of that. One more night shot here, we have a bar that's very popular around here, and you can see the neon signs, they look red in real life. The iPhone 6, iPhone 6s, iPhone 7 get it completely wrong. The iPhone 8 Plus a little bit better. Then you have the red color on the iPhone XS Max showing up for the first time in 2018. Apple gets colors right here. And this year on the iPhone 11 Pro Max, you can see here in the darker areas, you get a little bit more color, a little bit more detail, so a much nicer picture. And finally, one last shot here of a nighttime scene that is not that challenging, but you can see that all of the phones here did a pretty good job, even the iPhone 6 and the 6s. But on the 6 you see up here the areas, the highlights are burned out, so you don't get that much detail. The 6s, similar story, the iPhone 7 also, and for the first time on the iPhone XS Max you get that better dynamic range thanks to the smart HDR mode, which really makes a big difference. And then the iPhone 11 Pro Max takes things further with a lot more detail to the image. And that's it guys, a quick comparison of the cameras all the way from the iPhone 6, the iPhone 6s, iPhone 7, iPhone 8 Plus, iPhone XS Max in 2018, and this year the iPhone 11 Pro Max, which really feels like a huge jump, especially over the 8 Plus, over the 7. If you're upgrading from those older phones, you'll see a lot of difference in terms of smart HDR. Images during the day look a lot better, more dynamic. Night mode, even compared to the XS Max, huge difference. You get a lot more color, images that you can actually work with, while previously you just got too dark of a photo. So that's it guys, a quick comparison of the evolution of the modern iPhone cameras. I hope you found this video interesting. My name is Vic, and I'll talk to you next time right here on PhoneArena.